Hello and thanks for staying with us. Welcome to Political Platform on Repa Radio and Africa Independent Television AIT. My name is Amechi Anapwe. Now, as political realignments gather momentum ahead of the 2027 general election, an unusual trend is beginning to reshape the country's electoral landscape. Rather than presenting themselves as alternatives to the ruling party APC, a number of political parties have openly declared support for President Bola Tinubu's bid for a second term, while others are entering strategic alliances with the All Progressives Congress. APGA has severally said his party APGA and APC are progressives working together. And they said this practice did not start today, that when Goodluck Jonathan was in office and was running for election, they also adopted that same principles. And supporters of these endorsements argue that they reflect confidence in the president's economic reforms, infrastructure drive, and governance agenda. From the other side of it, some persons contend that the growing wave of endorsements could weaken political competition, diminish ideological diversity, and reduce voters' choices in an all-important election. Now, what does this growing alignment around the incumbent president mean for Nigeria's democracy? Does this signal confidence in the administration's performance, or does it expose the weakening of opposition politics? This will be the focus of our discussions today. We'll be joined by Yabagi Sani. He is the chairman of one of the political parties in Nigeria, the Action Democratic Party. Before then, we will examine the revelation by the vice presidential candidate of the Nigeria Democratic Congress, NDC, Musa Obi-Kwankwaso, that he and the party's presidential candidate, Peter Obi, have a written agreement that Obi will serve only one 4-year term if elected president in 2027. He also said there is another agreement on the same one-term principle between Obi and the NDC, which says Obi will serve one term to enable power return to the North in 2031. That is, if he wins. We will also give you an update on the commencement of investigations by the House of Representatives Committee probing how a phantom agency, that's the Presidential Foreign Investment Promotion Council, was allocated a whopping 1.3 billion naira in the 2026 budget. If you recall, the Senate refused to investigate, or the House took the bull by the horns and has commenced investigations. Revelations are pouring out. My colleagues are here with me, as usual, Ujueje, Sholaja Simi, and Mustafa Mohammed. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
We start with excerpts from what transpired at the House of Representatives Investigation Committee yesterday on the phantom agency and allocation of 1.3 billion naira in the budget.
For example, don't you require an enabling act for a new government entity as part of the documents for opening that account? You said you require one authorization from the Office of the Accountant General. Don't you require also an act authorizing the creation of that entity?
I say currently, sir, we do not require such document, but I believe Office of the Accountant General keeps those documents, because when they are writing to us, they are only writing to us a mandate, single paper, listing the accounts that need to be opened. In this part, what we have given you as evidence, they are actually poor accounts. But because our conversation is only on this council, that's why we mentioned 2. But actually, there are 4 accounts on that list. The remaining 2 have nothing to do with this council. They are for another agency.
The process required these documents to be presented to the officers that were to receive them and to assess them. Unfortunately, those officers, there was no lawyer amongst them, so they just saw that document. It looked like it looked like an act. We only found out that it was not an act when I cited it. When all this problem came up and I said, bring the documents, and immediately I saw it. Because I am a lawyer, Mr. Chairman, honorable members, with over 30 years experience, I saw it and I said, no, there's something wrong with this. But to explain further, at that point when I discovered, I said that means that we need to have another level of verification. And we need to have a lawyer on the team that would receive legal documents so that the lawyer can access every legal document. And I'd like to share with you that we've already begun the process of reviewing our standard operating procedures to ensure that, one, we have a lawyer working in that department and that we have different layers of verification of documents. So we concede that we didn't do the best we ought to have done in cross-checking that document at the time it was presented.
So, like I said earlier, revelations pouring in. But the good thing is that, and I believe is one of the good advantages of carrying out investigations like this. Gaps will be noticed and efforts to close the gaps be taken. And I'm seeing it from the Office of the Head of Service.
Okay, let me open with what Hamisu Abdullahi, the man in the dark suits, the director from the Central Bank, who testified before this committee in the House of Representatives, said. He has let us realize that they got documentation for the CBN to open the accounts for this. They've called it a phantom agency, but we can see a line head for it in the budget of this country. That's number one. Number two, Miss Esther Wilson Jack is, of course, trying to say, look, I'm in charge of what happens, clear in the office of the head of the civil service of the Federation, which she holds. But from what she has said, it's not a few who are into public policy will say this is like medicine after death. You guys didn't do due diligence. She says she's a lawyer, and she says she found it at that level. From the little I know of the bureaucracy, the officers are there. It's just the ability for officers to do the proper thing. When we can say clearly that our folks are also civil servants, and we know the meticulous nature in which they put into their jobs, with daddy or mommy bringing files home to ensure things are done properly. So it's a thumbs down for our office. It's also a thumbs down for the office of the CBN, because they said they got documents. So if it's to look for people who know how to intercept phone calls, our people know how to work very well. But when it's time to look at things that are proper, the things are not answered properly.
Okay.
And before we get into all my other colleagues will also contribute on this discussion. The main man, if you did literature, they call them the dramatis personae. I think Mr. Femi, I know he will have his day, the chief of staff to the president, should have even opened this hearing.
No, he was at the ICP.
I know he was.
Yes.
That report is all over. So I'm also saying it so that let us hear the whole drama from everybody concerned
I will hope they
on this
invite
matter.
you. Yes.
All right. The truth, like Shola has hit the nail on the head, is that they were very careless. I mean, how do you, as an agency, as a ministry or department of government, not know that before you can approve anything, before you can okay any document, there has to be due diligence? It's not as if you know the people who are coming in, you were born with them, they are your family members or your friends that you know. We're talking about public accountability. Somebody sends documents, a lawyer should have reviewed it, and a lawyer was not part of the team that looked at it. And now you're coming to tell us, oh, yes, you take responsibility. How does that help the nation? How does that help the money that has been siphoned by the seeming fake agency? I think
not siphoned yet, though.
Well, I mean, he wasn't. He has been in the budget,
but not drawn.
Well, that's
possibly
if you're saying it is only for this year. What about last year? Well, we can't go into that now, but don't forget that there was a budget last year. All right,
but they didn't get a budget line last year.
Yeah, okay, so they got for only this year. Well, let's thank God that he has been stopped here, but nobody knows what has happened concerning those accounts. Not one, not two, that he holds with the CBN, and the CBN to come and say, yes, they got documents. I think that our public officers should stop taking Nigerians for granted. I see something, more than meets the eye in all of this. I see a kind of cover-up, and they are not doing it well. They are not doing it well.
Where's the cover-up coming from?
No, I mean, taking responsibility for all of these things when you have reneged on your responsibility.
That's not a cover-up.
I don't know, Amici, maybe you're not following what I'm saying. You see, you have accepted that the proper thing was not done. You and I know that the proper thing is statutory. When the things come in, they're supposed to do them. Like Shola said, when it comes to tracking somebody who use phone calls, right?
That's by the security agencies.
Yeah, exactly. And then when it comes to this, by security agencies, but I'm talking about the department, the agencies that are supposed to do these things. They are there are people who are employed to do them. And they must do their work. And I believe that to a reasonable extent, they do their work. That is why I'm not satisfied with these explanations. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. I am not satisfied with that. I believe that something somewhere does not add up.
Let us not pretend that this is the first time this kind of thing has happened or has been happening in the country. Let us not forget what the former central bank governor now and Emir Lamido Sanusi said about the subsidy fraud, which pointed out to corruption in the institutions and institutional failure. Ships, non-existing ships or ships out there empty on the high seas will be there with no oil. Then subsidy money will be paid out. Yes. Then there have been a lot of contract frauds in the system, despite the procurement system in the country. So many fake contracts were conceived, not in the appropriations, were being paid until the government appointed Dr. Adebowale to the Bureau of Public Procurement, where the processes were made, very stringent rules were introduced, and that whatever you are going to do as a procurement, you have to present before March. A lot of checks and balances have to be done. So this thing that happened is as a result of corruption, institutional failure. And we're talking about corruption. It's not just one institution. Most people, when you talk about corruption, they will be pointed at the Nigerian police, even though the ICPC chairman has his own bitter experience by being extorted by some 4 police officers who have been arrested, 53,000 naira. But I'm telling you, this is just the tip of the iceberg. In almost all the government institutions, whether the state or federal, a lot of illegalities are happening. And the reason why these things are happening are people have not been sacked, ministers cannot resign, people have not been prosecuted, so many have not been sent to jail. So what do you think will encourage government officials to continue doing the wrong thing? I watched a clip of House of Representatives on social media asking the finance minister about not really implementing budget that is an impeachable offense, it's criminal offense, this and that, because people are not being punished. This is just one incident. Only God knows how many other incidents of illegalities are happening in our federal institution. You have over 200 ministries and parastatals, and that actually has affected the development we are lacking in the country.
Well, Shola said one thing. He hopes that indeed the chief of staff will be invited, because we need to carry out this investigation from all sides, because Adeyemi keeps insisting monies exchange hands, but unfortunately the go-between is no longer alive to also be invited. But we hope they will get to the point, to the end of this. But to me, more importantly, this is all about an opportunity to strengthen our systems. There is no system that is foolproof, even in US. So we cannot claim to be saints. We are humans. We are imperfect. So when this kind of infractions happen, it presents an opportunity to look at the system, reevaluate, tweak standard operating procedures to strengthen the system. And that's why I'm happy when indeed the House of Representatives said they will go ahead with this program. We are seeing gaps. Are we also seeing efforts to close this gap? That should be what we should be thinking about, to strengthen the system, despite the punitive measures, administrative or whatever, that can follow at some point. But the important thing is that we are making efforts to strengthen our system. Let's quickly.
Are we really making efforts?
We have to make efforts.
Government is a continuous process.
Yes.
And such corrections are developmental issues. Yes. Like I just mentioned Dr. Adebawale at the Bureau for Public Procurement putting a lot of stringent measures. In fact, you have to, there's a timeline for the closure of biddings and contracts and what have you. And if you don't present those those documents before the timeline, you cannot come.
That's tightening.
Yes, tightening the news.
Let's quickly go to other issues now. Obi-Kwankwaso was on a television show on Monday, and he confirmed, perhaps for the first time publicly, that there is a written agreement, not verbal, written, between him and his presidential candidate, Peter Obi, that if they win the presidential election, Peter Obi will serve for one term, then step down in 2031. That's between him and Peter Obi. He also mentioned that between him and between Peter Obi and the party, they also signed another one-term agreements. Before, we were having gentlemanly agreements. This time around, it's been committed to paper. Is it the first time?
But how did it go? I think it is very, very good that this one is in writing, because a lot of gentleman agreement that were reached in 1999, whether with the PDP in government and even the other political parties like APP, have been reneged on. A lot of them had, like if you look at the zoning formula, when it got to the turn of the Southeast, it was reversed. They found excuses to deny that region of its turn when it came to the presidency, rotating to the Southeast, and they told you there was nothing written. So when we start having writings in black and white, then we know that, yes, you can hold somebody accountable, you can hold somebody responsible for that document, for that agreement. It is no longer a matter of we said it, we didn't say it, and people will now come and, be exchanging words. No, this is good. And that's the fear that the North has had, that if he comes in, he may decide to do for 2 terms, 8 years. But now that it is clear and in black and white that he will go for 1 term, maybe they will begin to trust him and look his way.
You're talking about fear of the North. There's no monolithic North. I kept saying it. You have Northeast, Northwest, North Central, the larger Hausa bloc, the Fulani, the several other minorities. The truth of the matter is, whether they write it in gold or carved on a stone, Nigerians cannot trust what a Nigerian politician tells them. In the past,
They are not telling it, they are signing agreements.
even when they sign agreement, the truth of the matter is, you know what it takes when somebody sits on that presidential seat, when people win that election, they will tell you that they will do one time. Have good luck, Jonathan, not say that.
No, that's what
but
is
he-
this the first time? Because what we have heard in the past were verbal agreements. The
Exactly.
Jonathan one was verbal, but
A gentleman's agreement.
we are seeing a signed agreement. Will it make a difference?
It doesn't hold water, and I want to tell you from basic things. I don't know how much vote the Mr. Peter Obi will gather from the south, maybe the southeast and the part of southwest. But when it's come to northern Nigeria, you know his running mate has only one state, Kano.
That's what you think.
Yes,
That's
now,
what you
How did you arrive?
He has large followership. Even after Abba Yusuf, the current governor, dumped him and the party and joined APC, he have these occultic followers in Kano. But if you go to other states,
Is it occultic or
they worship Kwankwaso like let me use this.
No, I think it's more of a heroes, a cult follower.
You can say hero worship, but you can also use the term occult because they so believe in Kwankwaso and Kwankwasia in Kano. He still has a very massive follower.
So will you
Because of the work that he did for the people.
the North had for Buhari as occultic?
Yes, you can actually say that. But when you
That
move,
sounds extreme because if you say occultic,
you know what happened when Buhari contested and defeated Goodluck
followers.
yes, cult followership.
You move around the north beyond Kano. Ask yourself, go and find out where do you have the Kwankwasia beliefs and movement. But if they still believe they are going to stay for one term, if you believe them, let them win first.
No,
And
but
based on
let's-
that-
I think that this is not fair because he has never really been solidly in the presidential or vice presidential race until now. So I think that now that he is a candidate of Kwankwasia.
No, he ran for the presidency.
And how many
I
votes did
said
he get when he
solidly.
ran for the
I used
president?
the word, I said solidly.
Okay.
And and now at least. he
Okay,
has-
mainstream party.
Yes, a mainstream party. So now we have him in a mainstream party, and with this, we will now begin to see what the other sides of the north, the other
Okay.
parts of the north will begin to do concerning him.
let's-
I think it will be
let's bring
just
Ishola
bad
here.
to just rule him off like that. It's not fair.
I think the key things we are not talking about, with due courtesies to the panel this morning, is for Mr. Kwankwaso to go on live television and reveal an agreement he had with the man who will be his boss. It says a lot, and I want us to think seriously about it. Mr. Peter Obi has told us, he said so in August last year, that, look, I'm seeking for the presidency, and I will serve one term. He said it. If you check his Twitter posts or X posts, you see it there, clear, August. And now, the man who later said, I will work with you for our new party, where they've all gone to now, to get the presidency, is telling everybody openly that he's going to serve one term. I've not watched the video, but some other people who have watched the relationship between Kwankwaso and Peter Obi say, from what they see, that Kwankwaso doesn't send Peter Obi at all. This is what Akim Baba Ahmed said, the man who ran with Peter Obi in the last election under Labour Party. He says, look at the gesture of countenance, disposition of Mr. Kwankwaso. That even when they hold meetings at NDC,
He walks ahead
of him. He just says, okay. So I'm not surprised. I love Kwankwaso. Whatever he wants to get, he goes for it. He says his mind. But if you know that this man will be my boss for an election we're running for, you can be strategic. What you say, strategic communication, how you act, very, very important. Lest you already lose the plot before you even get into office. That's if the Nigerian people support you eventually.
Don't you think it could also be a strategic
Yes,
move?
I believe it's
a strategic move because it appears to be the biggest threat in the north. So there's a possibility that it could be a strategic move within the Obi-Kwankwaso camp to go public with this as a way of reassuring some people that this is beyond verbal agreement. It's written in black and white.
It's good he, says such a thing.
Yes.
But I'm saying, looking at certain things, if you look at politics, look how it happened at the beginning of this Fourth Republic. When Vice President Atiku Abubakar began to show himself that I'm a star boy, you were in the villa from 2002 to 2011, 2012. You know how Obasanjo clipped him. So, but they've not entered office now. And all this is coming up. So it's about personal disposition. I say I like Kwankwaso because the man goes for what he wants. And he's quite outspoken about what he thinks needs to be done. But I'm thinking, I'm a communications person. I'm thinking strategy. You can even allow the Obi camp to have pushed this.
But I think that
you have a point here in the sense that the deputies are rarely heard and seen, and it presents difficult situations whenever you have two ambitious persons. If you have someone behind you who have eyed your seats in the past, it presents a different challenge. That's the point you're making. But in politics, a lot of things happen. We have seen elsewhere where such things happen. Power sharing, that you take this, I take that. In Senegal, in Côte d'Ivoire, they do it. They share. When we go in, you take this, I'll take that. So it's beginning to have, these are things that evolve over time. And
you travel around the
nothing actually stops you from getting the big prize if you think it would indeed aid it. But we have to go we have other issues and we have a guest. Sorry about that. Let's go for a break. When we come back from this break, our guest, a chairman of a national party, would offer perspectives on the fact that some parties are abandoning their presidential campaign, that authority and right to go for the presidency, and they are shouting, we will queue behind President Bola Tinubu. Do stay with us.
Hello, Nigeria. You asked for it. Now you have it. The ongoing nationwide continuous voter registration exercise has been extended to Sunday, 26th of July, 2026.
It gets better. From Wednesday, the 8th of July, you can now start and finish your registration using your smart devices from wherever you are. Simply visit cvr.inecnigeria.org to complete the process, including your biometrics.
No more queue, no unnecessary travel, just a simple, secure, and convenient registration process.
Remember, the physical registration option is still available at all INEC state, local government offices, and designated centers.
Your power to vote just got stronger. Register now.
This message is brought to you by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. Making your vote count, consolidating our democracy.
The stories now break online. Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape the narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.live at AIT_online on X.
ABGA called it progressives working together. The governor of Anambra State and his chairman have consistently said in the past, and they gave examples, they work for the PDP. When Goodluck Jonathan was president, they refused to field a presidential candidate, and they say that tradition will continue. And this 2027, they will not field a presidential candidate. They will work for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Some parties, are court party, for instance, is having a problem. Benga Olawepo purchased form, was involved in a presidential primary and won. But the party refused to upload his name on the INEC portal as a presidential candidate because of what we are hearing, some agreement between the party and APC and the president not to field a candidate so that they will support them during the election. Some other parties have also given that body language that they are with the president as far as the presidency is concerned. It happened in 2003 when Alliance for Democracy stood with Obasanjo of the PDP, but they paid dearly for it. But let's bring in our guest to offer perspective. Yabagi Sani, National Chairman, Action Democratic Party. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Okay, so sir, your straight response to this question about political parties. I don't want to say major or minor. I don't. You have your own political party.
Yes,
Let me ask you pointedly. Do you have a presidential candidate?
Yes, we do.
Okay, and the name of the presidential candidate has been uploaded.
Yes,
okay,
certainly.
good.
Yes.
So, okay, Mr. Particular.
Let me ask this, because why do you think other political parties will refuse to field a presidential candidate or upload because they want to join the national ruling party? Or is it that the banga soup and egusi soup aroma is where the APC is?
Well, I believe that the legacy of this administration, that's Bola Ahmed Tinubu, care is not taken. I don't think the history will be kind to him. How? As far as building democracy is concerned. Because in every democracy, you need strong government, as well as you need strong opposition parties. That is what make what you call good governance. Then you will have checks and balances in whatever the government of the day is doing. So what we see Bola Ahmed Tinubu trying to do is to completely annihilate what we call opposition in a democracy that's supposed to be a multi-party, democracy by our constitution. Constitutionally, we are supposed to be a multi-party.
But can you blame the president for what the characters of such politicians in the opposition do?
They appear not to be. It appears as if it was their own volition.
No. You see, I'm talking about history now. I'm not blaming Bola Ahmed Tinubu because every government, especially if you are in your first term, you definitely want to win second term. That is natural, But what some of us are against is the issue of gravitating towards a one-party state. One-party state is not good for even he himself. Not talk of Nigeria as a whole. So this is the point I'm trying to make. And don't think that the parties that are coming out to be undemocratic or behaving as if they are not political parties, that they are just an extension of the APC government or APC political party. You have to see, for instance, you talk about, what do you call it? Accord. You have to see what has been happening to Accord in the low courts. This party today is supposed not to be existing. And when you see the actions coming, the litigations coming to register the party, coming from the government, because the situation where the Attorney General of the Federation joins a case, that says a lot. And don't forget that the Attorney General of the Federation is serving, in the government of the day. So if Accord for what do you call it, self-preservation, adopt what they are adopting today, because they know that this is 4 years, isn't it? You are talking about 4 years is not what is 4 years in the life of a nation? And if I can say my political party, for another 4 years, so that I can now exist in a normal democracy after this, unheard of, draconian, undemocratic means of quashing or silencing opposition. It's going to be for only how many? 4 years maybe. So that's why you can't blame Accord. You cannot also blame, APGA. APGA is not a national party per se. So if they choose not to float or to support any presidential candidate, it's okay because they are only contented to, if you like, in Anambra where they are.
Because APGA members are in federal government positions. The Minister of Foreign Affairs is an ABGA member.
Exactly.
The MD of Southeast Development Commission is an ABGA member. So are they trying to strengthen that? What former governor of Cross River State, what's that his name, Professor, will call socketing to the center to attract benefits?
Well, I think so. You know, some parties are built.
Professor.
No, some parties are built with certain defined or not popularly expressed, objective. For their political parties. And if you, of course, if you are under this environment where you can see vividly that the party in power is after anything, whatever the means, the end justify the means. Meaning that you may be a strong political party or anything, they can just go and throw up something, and like we know, there's no system that is perfect in any case. More so the political parties. So they can throw up something against your party, and then kill your party.
So this means, Alhaji Yagbadi, that political parties must be solidly on the ground, legally, looking at the laws.
Politically?
If the law says that you must win certain number of seats to continue to exist, and an attorney general looks and says, this party doesn't have seats, as the law says, do we blame that attorney general for going to ask the court to declare such parties be
we opposition parties, opposition parties also have our own side of the, if you like, the issue to deal with, and that is to be properly organized, like you are saying, to be disciplined, to be law abiding, to fulfill all the requirements of the Constitution. But that is in a situation where the Constitution itself or the laws are obeyed or are respected. You are operating under a situation where every institution that defines this democracy is in the hands of one human being.
Is the judiciary in the hands of one human being?
Of course it is.
No, that's not correct, sir.
Who appoints, who nominates, if you like to use the word.
But there are layers in the judiciary. That's what he's trying to tell you.
Which layers?
You're talking about lower courts, middle cadre, higher courts, to the Supreme Court.
Under who? APC government.
But you are talking about democracy. It's an arm of government.
Yes.
And once they are in office, they exhibit, the independence required.
Who?
The judiciary.
How? Where?
In this country.
The president does not
give me one case.
No, it's not about.
Give me a case. I'll tell you one that has not defined judiciary to be independent for.
No, the justices will disagree with this position you're holding because your position
but I'm the one. I'm at the receiving end, so they can disagree as to every length they want to. But I'm telling you what we are feeling. We the opposition parties.
Probably
you can't take away that from me.
No, probably the opposition parties, like I said, they need to get there. When the judiciary gives verdicts that favor the opposition, they say judiciary is working. But when the thing goes against, based on what the justices see, we say no, they want to strangle.
Yes, we can pretend not to see the reality of the situation, but I cannot pretend because I'm the one at the receiving end.
So give us that case you're thinking about.
Yes, what about the case, like I was trying to tell you, this case of jurisdiction of political parties? That is the worst thing you can do to any democratic setting. And today, as we speak,
but if these political parties
today as we speak, these parties are not stable yet because still that case is still before the appellate court.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what is going to say. That's not an ideal political situation where you keep the opposition under a kind of instability, induced, by the government of the day. And you call it democracy. Democracy is not you manipulating the system against the opposition so that they cannot be organized. They will look in the eyes of the public that they are not organized. Whereas we know what is happening.
Okay, we have called on this program for the justices at whatever level, either the Court of Appeal or the Supreme Court, to expeditiously give these cases, the hearing they deserve, so that the opposition can settle down and seek the.
Why should these cases even come in when you are in the eve of an election?
They were instituted by members of the party.
Which members of the party?
The NDC, for instance, was a group that claimed to have that logo before. That of the ADC were instituted by members, not APC members.
Well, that tells you a lot about the system we have, where we are today.
So the politicians need to carry the can.
I do understand what I'm telling you, that the opposition needs to also, but the political, the party in government should understand that they will leave legacy, especially Bola Ahmed Tinubu himself, who's supposed to be number one Democrat by his track records and by the fact that God has given this opposition to be the president of this country. He is number one Democrat. In fact, whatever happens to democracy, this democracy that we are practicing today, will be,
But do you also blame him for cases instituted by other members of the opposition parties? Will you blame the president?
Well, I blame the president because, for one thing, the president has enormous power, enormous influence, even in an ideal situation.
But it's not his business what the opposition party members do.
No, to an extent it is.
How?
He has What end of the day, the question is what impact? How did you impact democracy in Nigeria? That's what matters. Government comes, government go. Democracy remains.
But it is not the first time that this kind of thing is happening. I recall the AD. When Obasanjo wanted to go for a second term, the AD declined fielding a presidential candidate in support of President Olusegun Obasanjo then.
In 2000.
And that was when we had this word, Omowani Ejeoshi. Omowani Ejeoshi, he is our son, let him go. Then you recall that Falaye was really interested in the presidency, but they told him to just calm down, because they saw that they only held the Southwest region, and the Southwest alone could not fetch them the presidency. AD was not perceived as a national party at that point in time. I also remember that there was a time that ABGA too supported the president of the day, because they also believed that they could not gather enough muscle to go for the presidency. So it's not the first time. But then you look at it, is this really ideal? Shouldn't political parties, if truly they operate along ideological lines, come up with strengths and structures to be able to fight for the presidency instead of just going for this kind of what people perceive as a cheap way?
No, the parties you have mentioned, the examples you have given, supports what you are just saying. What you have just said, that political parties should, have programs, institutions, structures that will achieve, their goal. And if we must be sincere to ourselves, ABGA is satisfied with possibly controlling the Southeast, because of the origin of ABGA. They don't have that expansionist or that nationalistic, ambition.
Alliance with others.
Yes, they want to go into alliance with others. So that defines them properly, and they are satisfied with what is happening. But when you come to even AD, like you rightly said, because Obasanjo is from their own, ethnic groups, they believe that they owe it a duty to support, Obasanjo. And this is one thing that we are saying about Nigerian politics, that there are the primordial sentiments that are very strong when it comes to the politics of Nigeria, especially at national level. The primordial sentiments, rules, almost the entire space, because if you find yourself gravitating to whatever that sentiments may support, like we have seen in the history, like you have said, and today also is happening. So this is why, when I came in, I met you discussing Kwankwaso, Obi, and the agreements and all these things. I was just laughing. I said, people should see NDC and the combination of Kwankwaso and Obi, in the proper light, political light of it. It's not meant for 2027. It's meant for 2031. That is what that's what they are preparing for. So whatever you see them doing today, all these movements and what have you, it's just to sensitize Nigerians that, okay, by 2031, we are coming.
So are you not giving them a chance for 2027?
Exactly, because they're contesting.
Are you not giving them a chance for 2027?
Because dynamics, the body language, and even the things they are saying does not really support, the strong trend that we can see today in major political actors moving into APC, either by way of inducement or by the belief of the politician that I will be better served, in this other camp, that is Bola Ahmed Tinubu's camp. So you see, okay, somebody says that Kwankwaso's influence perhaps does not go beyond one state in the north. Well, I don't know. And then somebody amongst you here, somebody say also.
I said that.
Okay, that Obi too. You can't picture Obi as a strong politician when you talk about the entire north. It's just some part of the north. So how do you now take that, and even Kano today as it is, you can know that Kano is fractured, it's along so many groups, in fact.
Two groups,
exactly, thank you. So
are you ruling out the ADC in Kano?
Who?
ADC in Kano.
Well, ADC in Kano, you have to put it in a very another perspective.
Okay, so let me take you back to our issue for the day. You've explained how ABGA, in terms of alliance, what AD did in 2003, and they agreed as a collective. But there are some other parties. Accord Party, for instance, we have a presidential aspirant who bought form, went through primaries, Benga Olawebo, and won. But the party refuses to upload. So how do you explain this kind of scenario? The party reaches some form of agreement with the ruling party, but the candidate is saying, I have a right. And in Labour Party, we mentioned this slightly yesterday. We're hearing there's a similar agreement between the state governor, Oti, and somehow they've given, what we're hearing, they're giving their ticket to someone that is unknown. Why the key ones, the big aspirants that bought forms, somehow the party prevented them from emerging as candidates. How do you see this scenario?
It's not peculiar, to those parties who have mentioned. Aside from ADC, that today, whose future is precarious, by virtue of what the APC government is doing, to opposition parties, that because no other party, including my own party, we are also infiltrated, so to some extent. So you find that's what I'm saying, that the legacy that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will leave behind, it's not a good one as far as democracy is concerned. It's not going to be a good one, because we want to build democracy. We don't want to kill democracy. And what he's doing is tantamount to killing democracy.
No, let me...
That's your own personal thoughts, right?
No, my own personal thoughts, but that is... But that is what is playing out. Everybody sees it. You can only not see it if you decide to be blind, and perhaps if it doesn't affect you the way it affects us.
Okay, now I would like to.
We are not happy. Believe you me, we are not happy at all with what is happening, what is playing out, because the enormous use of the power of incumbency against the opposition is not friendly at all.
From which?
I would still like to go back to Kwankwaso and Obi.
Yes.
It's like Mustafa and yourself have written them off that they cannot make it. Are you saying that the campaigns that will commence earnestly shortly will not make any impact or will not have any effect on the desires of the people and may not sway emotions, and that campaigns are useless? And with the strategy that Kwankwaso adopted in that interview, disclosing that one thing that is a big fear for the North, which is continuity for 8 years, would not be, because they have signed for 4 years. Are you saying that those things will not have any effect and that his support may not go beyond the Kano base?
No, you see, regardless of the amount of dissatisfaction by the electorate, as has been exhibited now by across the board against this government, that is not enough to defeat Bola Ahmed Tinubu. What can defeat Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the organization of the opposition. If we are properly organized as opposition parties, that is the only way we can defeat it. Not people saying that, you are killing our...
Is it late for the opposition to organize?
I think it's
late in the day, because they have successively fractured, infiltrated, demoralize.
So you're making a call that Bola Tinubu will win the 2020.
You have announced the winner, right?
Let me tell you something. There's always, surprise that they may not see. Because this democracy. From democracy has that ADP, like ADP, Action Democratic Party. I haven't told you. We are working on that. Well, exactly. Believe you me. They are not seeing us yet. They don't think we are coming.
Yes.
Perhaps we are the ones who give that surprise of the century. That APC will be shocked. And then Nigerians will be happy for it.
We have to thank you so much, Yabagisani, National Chairman of ADC, Action Democratic Party, ADP, Action Democratic Party, that he believes will spring that big surprise. Thank you so much for joining. Let's quickly go to our mails.
Thank you.
As we have this one from Deacon Emmanuel from Madala, Niger State, and it says, I'm sad that it has become a recurring incident in Nigeria. But whenever there's a threat of war in the Middle East or elsewhere around the globe, oil and gas prices go up. This is because of the government's inability to guarantee a reliable, continuous and affordable supply of oil and gas in the country. I'm of the opinion that our 4 refineries be handed over to the private sector to revamp and revitalize them for effective running of the sector. This will definitely ensure availability and affordability of fuel, oil and gas in the country. Second one is from Amechi Obochi from Kubwa. And it says the FCT Police Command yesterday arrested 4 police officers accused of forcing the chairman of the ICPC, Dr. Musa Aliyu San, to part with 53,000 naira at an illegal checkpoint in Abuja. The officers, who reportedly had no idea they were dealing with the nation's anti-corruption chief, allegedly compelled him to withdraw the money from a nearby POS operator before sharing the proceeds among themselves. This incident clearly reflects a kind of harassment, intimidation, and extortion that many Nigerians face daily in the hands of some rogue police officers. Perhaps this unfortunate episode will further highlight to President Bola Tinubu and the IGP the urgent need to rid the police force of officers who tarnish its image through criminal conduct. However, the matter should not end with the arrest alone. If the allegations are proven in court, they should be prosecuted in accordance with the law, and if convicted, face the appropriate punishment. Only through accountability can public confidence in the police be restored. A new Nigeria is possible.
Okay, Meka Umba has written in. Meka Umba is here in Abuja. Now, news is that the Court of Appeal has set aside the Federal High Court judgment that nullified the 2027 election timelines, or rather guidelines, issued by INEC. This is reassuring, but I think we should at this point be interrogating why the courts seem to be bent on destabilizing our electoral system and process as we're gradually counting down to the general elections. The courts have gone from destroying the tenets of democracy by using technicalities to determine who won elections against the will of the people. And that is why someone who came a distant fourth became governor, to determining which political parties get registered or not by INEC, and even meddling in the internal disputes of political parties. We've never had it this bad and so confusing in our political process and the history of Nigeria. This is becoming to look like conspiracy to either manipulate the 2027 election or destabilize it. The judiciary must call its judges to order, or the judiciary itself must be called to order before their actions truncate our nation's democracy.
Thank you so much for the mails. Where an opinion coming in says the gatekeeping should have been between the veiler and the office of the SGF, that indeed they are the ones that do the appointment and clear that. That's where the gatekeeping should have been. Thank you so much for joining us today, but not without saying, Uju, you're wearing good today. One mind tells me it's your birthday. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Many happy returns to you.
Thank you so much.
And so we'll end on a celebratory mood. When we leave there, we know how we're the next.
No, you, my brothers, should celebrate me.
We'll take it too. Again, thank you also for being part of the program today. My name is Amechi, and we have a good time.